this week's show, we celebrate a whole year of Valve's Steam Deck.
Plus, some good and bad news for the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Barry, and this is episode 91 of the Retro Gaming Dads podcast, the podcast for everything retro and retro-inspired. So, as is tradition at this point, what have you been playing?
Yes, so I've been playing a little bit more of Atomic Heart. I played a little bit more of Portal Knights as well, but then we also had a bit of a go on Exo Primeval, it's called, at the weekend as well.
Exo Primal.
Oh, sorry, Exo Primal. Flipping it.
I only had the one match on that, and I must admit, I wasn't impressed.
I played I think I've done about 4 or 5 matches, and from what I played, I have enjoyed. Now, obviously, with this being a demo, the beta, there is only one game mode available. There will be quite a few more game modes coming out for the actual game, as well as far as I'm aware, there will be a story mode also. So it's only a little bit of snippet of what is to come. So I understand. I get it. I get what you're saying.
I understand that, but it just didn't hook me. It just didn't seem that great.
See, it did for me because, again, it's down to, I guess, the mech suits you play as, because you decided to go as the big tanky guy with a Gatling gun. And I did give him a try, don't get me wrong. He was the first person I did try. And I wasn't really sold on him. It wasn't quite like how I thought we'd play. So I tried to go... Well, I didn't try. I went as the one who runs with a massive samurai sword with a katana, and I had a lot more fun jumping in and slicing and dicing. It was a lot more engaging, I guess, for me after that. With the first guy, not quite so much, but...
So at that point, if I'm having to not play as the character I enjoy playing as to try and fit around the game, I'm not really doing what I want to do in the game.
Oh, no, I know. I completely get it. I think with that character, the way he fired the Gatling gun, it had to overheat, and it took ages for it to get back into a point so you could shoot it again.
No, it takes like a second or two. It's so quick. You just reload it, and he just vents it dead quick.
I'm sure. I thought to hold
X. I didn't enjoy it. It didn't feel like it was firing a Gatling gun. It felt like it was playing a game of Splatoon, to be honest. It just felt no reaction to hitting people. It just lacked that feeling of being visceral and the explosions and being like a big, heavily armored mech.
Yes.
It felt like, again, I was running around with a soup soaker full of paint.
No, like I said, you don't feel like a big tank character doing that damage you should be doing. But I said I was running around because it was considered a tank class, the one I was running around with the massive katana. And I was shredding the Velociraptors and stuff like that. That's the thing.
Even the Velociraptors, when they come out, and there was loads of them, I was gunning them down. It didn't feel like I was gunning down loads of dinosaurs. It didn't help that they disintegrate almost the second that you kill them as well.
Yeah.
So it felt like I was just shooting something that was ethereal, that wasn't really there. I'd expect to be gunning them down and see them fall, and then the ones behind it have to like climb and scramble
like
over them.
corpses just...
Yeah, it's... I know it's a game, but there was no feeling of like a physical environment or me having any sort of impact on it.
Well, I think that's down to the game we were playing. So we were playing a game called War Games, and it was a virtual environment you get put into when you put it against the team. So I mean, I don't know.
If this is the case, if the rest of the game isn't like this, why put this as your open beta? Why not put your best foot forward, not whatever this is?
Yeah. I think it's one of those where we'll try the full game, see how it goes, but it might not be quite like the game we're looking for. So it might not be one we stick with.
Well, it's coming to Game Pass. So on what I've seen, I would definitely not purchase it. But if it's in Game Pass, I might give it a couple of games to kind of prove itself, see what it's like. Hopefully it'll surprise me. The idea of running around a mech suit killing dinosaurs does appeal to me, as it should to anyone alive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, when the trailer dropped, we were like, what is this? It looks amazing. So far, what we've seen, it's okay, but hopefully it could be better.
You're being a lot nicer to this than I was.
Yes, I know.
I'm not entirely sure if I've played anything beyond that and Pokemon.
How are you doing on Pokemon?
Less and less games. I'm still waiting for Kerry. I'm outside the third gym, and I'm just waiting for Kerry to do it. Don't tell her what I've actually already done it, but she thinks I haven't. Most of me Pokemon to the point where, apart from me starting one, which I can't remember what it is, but it's like a fire crocodile ghost type or something. It looks awful. I just want to get a Charmander. Get a Charizard in there. Get a proper looking Pokemon.
You can through Pokemon Home, which you're going to try and do, aren't you?
Well, Pokemon Home's not on Scarlet and Violet yet.
Oh, it's not.
No, so I can't transfer them across. As soon as it is, I'm transferring one from, as you say, Pokemon Go. I've got a couple spare. I've got Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Cyndaquil, and that's as far as I go with remembering the starting Pokemon.
Charizard and Chikorita. They're the ones you can't.
Oh, Chikorita. I've got Chikorita as well. But yeah, that's all I've been playing. I just haven't really got any time to play anything. I was actually going to bring my Switch to work today, but couldn't find Astral Chains, which is the game I actually want to play.
Oh, what is that? I thought you put it in your case ready to play.
Yes, I couldn't find the case. So I've got a spare case, so I could have brought the Switch still, but I can't find the case that's got the Astral Chains game in it, which is probably on my desk. I did just before this podcast show you the state of my desk, so
yeah, I'm surprised you could find anything.
Maybe you can understand why I don't know where the game is.
Yeah, well, under the minefield that's hit your desk.
Yes. But beyond that, have you played anything else?
I'm just trying to think. No, I haven't. Again, same as you, I've not actually had that much time to play some games. Actually, sorry, that's a lie. At the weekend, I did try and play Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I tried to play it on the Switch, went down, ran around a bit, fought some people, and then went, nah, there's just something about it. I just can't get back into it. I don't know why.
No.
I don't know. I do want to give Scarlet or Violet a try, don't get me wrong, but I just can't get back into this one, which is a shame.
Right, well, since we're being boring and we're playing the same games week in, week out, and we haven't really played anything new, shall we move on to thanking our Patreon subscribers?
Yes, as always, give a massive shout out to Bobby Socks and Short Gizmo. As always, your continued patronage is greatly appreciated.
So, just really quickly, my little baby's hit a milestone. It's now 1 year old.
Do you know what? I was actually thinking you'd be quite genuine here, thinking about a milestone, and then as soon as you said 1 year old, I knew exactly which baby you're talking about, and it's none of your actual kids.
Oh, no. I'm not on about them. I'm on about my Steam Deck. So, the Steam Deck is now officially 1 year old. And
Yay!
To celebrate, they actually had a sale on this, but unfortunately, by the time you listen to this, it'll be too late.
Yes. Now, don't get me wrong, was tempted, but it's still pretty expensive for me to just turn around and pick up a Switch. Sorry, Switch? Steam Deck.
Steam Deck. Do you know what, though? So it worked out about 315 quid. Even at 350, this
is a fantastic piece of kit worth picking up.
It's a fantastic piece of kit. I think it definitely runs better with SteamOS on it rather than Windows. Not like
I'm sure you keep saying you're going to.
Wise. I know, but it involves making a backup stick. I wouldn't mind. There's actually a USB stick in my computer that's empty, specifically to put on SteamOS recovery software. And I just haven't had a chance to get around to it. I can't believe it's been a year already since it actually was released.
No, I feel like that's flown by.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I bet it's not far off, coming up to about 2 years since they actually announced it.
But at least you can now get hold of them.
Well, yes. Although the actual shipping dates have actually slipped quite a bit, I noticed, while they had this sale on. But it's still only 2 to 4 weeks. Whereas
again, though, with the sale coming on, I'm not surprised some people just jumped to grab a...
Yeah. But on top of this, Valve actually announced the 100 top games to play on the Steam Deck. And one game that I played far too much, Vampire Survivor, was actually at number 2.
Yeah, I saw that. So with the Steam Deck turning 1, they actually did decide to release it's not a trailer, just a celebratory video, shall we say, where these two people went up and I felt like it was a bit of a joke, but at the same time they were being serious. It was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of slapstick.
Yeah, it was definitely tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, and I quite enjoyed it. And it was a nice little homage to sort of thank the players, I guess, because a lot of it, they were thanking the players, they were thanking about people sharing the storage with the Steam Deck and the way they use it. But yes, I did see that Vampire Hunter made its way into this as well.
Yeah, well, I'll say it was the second most played game on the Steam Deck. It was actually only beat, and the fact that this game is playable on a handheld actually blew my mind a bit. But the only game that beat it was Hogwarts Legacy.
Really?
Yep.
No, I'm not surprised.
That's the most played game as well. But just looking through the list, I use my Steam Deck to play a lot of old and indie games as well as retro titles. But the titles that are on, like, I'll just go through maybe like the top 10. We've got Hogwarts Legacy, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Elden Rings, Persona 5 Royal, Cyberpunk 2077, Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man Remastered. You've got so many AAA games that are available to play on this handheld.
Well, and that's the thing. And like I said, on the handheld, it's interesting to play some of those games on handheld. Not gonna lie, you kind of look at them, and I play some things on my stream with my controller for the phone. I find that hard to do sometimes. So I can't even imagine trying to play Elden Ring or Cyberpunk 2077 well. But I think the advantage of Steam Deck's got is that it's bigger, and they kind of see it and hold and play the controllers, I guess.
I must admit, once I've been playing it for about 5 minutes, I probably find it is easy to use as a standard controller or holding the actual Switch. I always thought the button placements would throw me the way they're kind of side by side, but you play it for a few minutes, it becomes second nature. It feels a lot closer to how I hold an Xbox controller to how I would if I was using a PlayStation controller, though. Although that's just my subjective opinion on that.
Okay. And it's not too heavy after a while, is it either?
Yeah, it can get heavy, but in all fairness, when I'm playing it, I usually rest my elbows on my desk, or if I'm lying in bed, on the actual bed, and it kind of props it up that way.
Yeah.
It's not very rare that I'm just holding it completely free floating in front of me without resting my arms on anything.
And I guess you can't play this too long on the toilet, because your elbows being your legs will start to hurt quite a bit after a while.
No, actually, I found out that if you do go for like the full 2-3 hours on a AAA game where the battery runs out, by that point, your legs are completely dead anyway. You feel nothing from the waist down. It's a bit awkward when you like fall off the toilet trying to get up, though, when you got pins and needles.
And you just come in and go, "You okay?" You're like, "Yes."
Yeah, do me a favour, just hit quick save. I've enjoyed having my Steam Deck. It's a nice piece of kit. I would like to see maybe a future rendition of it be a little bit smaller.
Okay.
But for the price, I have no complaints about it. I've even connected this up to my monitor and used it as a Windows 11 PC and played games on a 4K monitor. I can play things like Supreme Commander or Subcom 4K on it, and then use the Steam Deck as a second display, as a map.
I remember you saying it sounds pretty cool.
Mass Builder.
Yes.
So I've played that. I had to put that 1080p, but I've played that on my monitor using an Xbox controller through Bluetooth to the Steam Deck, and it's become like this sort of Switch-like experience where it's docked to my monitor and I'm using a controller. So it's really versatile.
No, it definitely does sound it. But just quickly going, obviously talking about the Steam Deck. So you saying that there's no improvements that you would make to the Steam Deck? You happy the way it is? Obviously, I know size-wise, yes, and I know, think about hardware components. Obviously, like anyone could say, upgrading different parts of it, which is just a natural thing to do with any computers. But in regards to aesthetically and comfortability and usability, are you happy with the way it is? Other than the size, you said is a little bit big.
It's not perfect. I'm not even going to pretend it's perfect, but everything is good enough, especially for the price.
Yeah, that's the thing, because they even said that in the video. They were saying about how they saw that the market was available to create this budget console for handheld experience, and it's been so well received by everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think the console gets a lot of slack when it comes to criticism because of its price.
Yes.
£350. There is no handheld PC that comes anywhere close on price. So you've got things like the Iron Neo, for example, or the GPD systems. But most of them, even the cheap ones, are £800-900. But the majority of them are over £1,000. And if this is giving you 80-90% of the performance, or in some cases outperforming them, but is a little bit bigger as a compromise, but a third of the price, there's no reason to criticize it for, it could have been slimmer, it could have been smaller, but it's £350.
Exactly. So I think we kind of touched upon it before in the previous episode, but do you think this may drive other handheld companies to try and make their handhelds maybe a bit more budget friendly, with the Steam Deck coming out?
Well, yeah, it definitely is. There's a few Iron Neo consoles that have just come out, and I'm sure they've got like a budget version of it called the Geek. But again, it's still, I think, about £800 rather than £1,000. And what they've done is they've cut back on some features, like it's got a slightly worse quality screen, a lower resolution instead of like a 1920 by 1200 screen. I think it's got something like a 1280 by 800, similar to the Steam Deck. They're kind of cutting it back. But most importantly, which is what the Steam Deck did, internally, power-wise, it's the same as its bigger brother.
Yeah, so the only difference is the RAM and the storage. That's it.
Because again, with the Steam Deck, the only difference between the cheapest and the most expensive Steam Deck, with the exception of any accessories or the anti-glass glass on the more expensive one, is storage. There is no other difference. It's not clocked at a higher speed. It hasn't got more RAM. It's not got a better graphics processor or anything. It's just more storage on the more expensive one. And that's what you need to keep it at.
Oh, no, definitely, because have had the privilege of playing on this a few times, and it's a fantastic piece of kit. I've played Mass Builder a few times. I've played Wreckfest on it, because we actually played a lot of Wreckfest. You streamed it next to me whilst I was playing on the Xbox.
Yeah, I played it both locally on the device and streaming it through Xbox game streaming service or whatever they call it now. Yeah,
from what I've seen, it is basically just a PC in your hands. Do you think, though, with it being Steam, with it being a Steam OS, with it being within that remit, do you reckon that's why part of it is the price is so low, because they've been able to use their own OS, their own stuff, and they've got such a big financial backing? I mean, because I don't know what the cost is between the device and the sale as such, but
yeah, I don't know whether or not they even make money on the cheaper Steam Deck, to be honest. It's not so much because it's their own OS, because if anything, that's going to cost them more money because they're having to put R&D into it.
Yeah.
However, Valve have been clear that this low price is due to the fact that they are hoping you get one of these devices and you buy more games on Steam.
Yeah.
They've never shied away from that fact. So, in essence, a bit like, I know not every games console manufacturer do it, but most of them have at some point. They sell the consoles at a loss because they make the money on the software sales. That's exactly the way Steam's gone around this. Now, I'd like to see a Steam Deck 2, and I say I'd like something that was maybe a little bit more compact and maybe a better quality screen. The screen is adequate.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it could be a whole lot better. I do notice a difference going from this to the Switch OLED. And I'm like, oh my God, the Switch has actually got better quality screen. I'd never expect that.
But you can see why.
Yes. Although, in all fairness, on the Steam Deck, at least it hits the bloody resolution of the screen more often than my Switch does.
So, well, one thing we need to make sure we say is happy birthday, Steam Deck.
Yeah. Oh, you're growing up so quick.
I'm surprised you haven't got it next to you right now.
It's right next to me here.
Oh, flip's sake. Wait, is it on your windowsill because it doesn't fit on your desk?
Yes, it is on my windowsill because it does not fit on my desk. Although, I don't know if you noticed while we were talking, I kept looking down and talking about my Steam Deck and going, oh, that's not my Steam Deck. That's the Wii U gamepad.
Yes.
So I did keep getting it a bit mixed up. In all fairness, though, it feels a lot nicer to hold than the Wii U gamepad. So whether or not that's consideration to anyone. But while we're talking about comfortable controllers, have you seen Retro Fighters have released yet another one?
Yes, and I actually really like the look of this controller.
It's very nice. I'm taking it you're on about the green one.
Yes, the green one. I stuffed the black one.
We'll get into that in a moment. So, Retro Fighters, the company behind the N64 Brawler and a whole range of other third-party controllers for, I think they've added Sega Dreamcast one, they've had the N64 controller, sure there's been even a Sega Saturn one as well. These are modern controllers for retro systems, and the latest one to join this lineup is the Retro Fighters Xbox controller.
So, as you said, this is for the original Xbox.
Yeah, the OG Xbox.
It does not work with the 360, the One, or the Series S and X. It's just for the original Xbox. It has got Bluetooth, so it can connect to like your PC, and it can connect to the Switch as well. But it's a very nice looking controller, and I like the fact they have the white and black buttons on there, as well as the bumper buttons on the triggers, as always.
Yeah, so if you want a more modern Xbox experience, you can use the bumper buttons, but you still have the black and white face buttons.
So with this controller, with it being wireless, I'm guessing it comes with a dongle that plugs into the controller port on your Xbox.
It comes with two dongles. So the first dongle is for your Xbox system, so you can plug it in and use the original Xbox as if it was a more modern console. Plus, it comes with a USB dongle, so you can plug that into your PC, your Mac, or, oddly enough, your Nintendo Switch, only when it's docked.
Oh, yeah, obviously. But with this, I don't think the price is as steep as I thought it was going to be.
It's definitely on the higher end for a third-party controller. I wouldn't say it's premium, so it's not one of these boutique-style controllers where it's like £150 or something. But $45, I think, seems fair.
Yes, especially when, you can use it with multiple systems still. So it's not just for the original Xbox, like we said, the Switch, the PC as well. So it's not just for one system. And if I'm honest, I actually wouldn't mind playing on a Switch using that green controller.
Yes, one thing we need to say is there's two colours. You've got black and green. They have absolutely nailed that green, haven't they?
They have. That green is
Master Chief green.
Yeah. The what's the French word? The pièce de résistance?
I don't know.
However it's said. But yeah, the Master Chief green, it's kind of like when you turn the Xbox on and the green is pulsing. That is perfect.
Anyone who's seen the limited edition Halo 2 Xbox, it's that green. It looks high quality plastic as well. It doesn't look cheap plastic. These have Hall effect analog sticks as well. So no stick drift.
Nice.
And as it's an original Xbox controller, it has all the pressure sensitive face buttons. You've got built-in rumble. What more do you need?
Well, I think we haven't even gone over the most important part. So yes, it's green. It's not just green though. It's transparent green.
Oh, did we not even mention it's transparent?
No, we didn't. We didn't even mention transparency. I'm surprised you hadn't said that.
I thought we mentioned that right at the beginning. My mistake.
No.
But But yeah, just like the limited edition Xbox, this is maybe not the exact same green, but it's definitely what you'd expect.
Very nice. So, when is it available and where from?
So, currently, it's not available in the UK. The only place you can see that you can actually order it at the moment is from Retro Fighter's website, which we'll leave a link to in the show notes. And as we mentioned, it's $44.99, and that's US dollars.
Now, before we move on to the more Nintendo-focused part of the episode, if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so by leaving us an honest review on your favourite podcasting app.
Or, if you're able to, you can support the podcast further from only £1 per month through either Spotify or Patreon. In return, you'll receive an ad-free version of the podcast and get a shout-out in our next episode.
Now, Nintendo.
First of all, we've got potentially some very good news.
Yes, so as mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the Wii U consoles having some issues where they're basically dying, someone has actually come up with a fix where you can use a Raspberry Pi Pico to bring it back from the dead.
So, the retro gaming YouTuber Voltaire has actually released a video in which he manages to fix 5 of these Wii U consoles with the now infamous 160.0101 and 160.0103 errors. Now, he does say none of his consoles, he believes, has got flash memory that's actually failed.
Okay.
He believes they're all corrupted. And he's, with his own money, been buying these consoles, which are faulty, to see if he can fix it. And so far, he's got a 100% success rate on 5 consoles. Now, as you mentioned, using a Raspberry Pi Pico, which is like £7, $8.
Yeah.
Really inexpensive. In a few minutes, he's got them booting back up.
Now, obviously, he's got to boot back up, got it working. Is there still a worry, though, of it happening again?
So from my understanding from his video, what he believes it is it's actually just part of the memory's become corrupted and it doesn't know where to look for the OS. So using a Raspberry Pi Pico and a USB cable and like 2 minutes of your time, he manages to re-engage the actual operating system and it fixes itself. So I suppose the worry is it's going to do the same thing further down the line, but there's a fix for it.
Yeah, so if you've still got as long as you keep hold of the Pico and everything else, you're fine. But that's only if it's come corrupted, not failed.
Yes, he did say that he believes that there are genuinely some consoles out there where the NAND flash has actually failed. But he believes that the majority of them are just corrupted.
Okay.
Which he demonstrates. The whole video is 10 minutes, and 8 minutes of that was just him explaining stuff.
Oh, sort of explaining exactly how he's going about it and giving more information than you kind of need, and then just go, here you go, plug it in, run this, oh, it's working. Exactly.
It's download a file, chuck it onto the Raspberry Pi Pico, plug it into the USB port on your Wii U, select an option from a menu, 10 seconds later, reboot, sorted.
However, we are, shall we say, not surprised that Nintendo themselves haven't come about with any sort of idea for fixes, because why should they be fussed?
Well, yeah, Nintendo have abandoned the Wii U long time ago.
Yes. So, which is sad, but at least we've still got people out there who are happy to investigate, look into it, and find fixes. And thank you very much to Voltaire to find this for us. So, if anyone does get a Wii U which has got a memory failure, follow the guide. We will leave a link to the video in the show notes. So, if you are experiencing the issue, you can see it and fix it yourself.
Yeah. We'll leave a link as well to Raspberry Pi Pico. I actually ordered one of these today.
Did you?
Just in case. I did actually pull down my Wii U, though, earlier on today. Checked it.
Oh, yeah, the thing you keep calling a Switch.
Yes, the thing I keep calling a Switch. And I was looking lovingly at thinking, God, my Steam Deck's putting on a bit of weight. But I have actually pulled it down and it's working fine. I did also pull down my, not mine, Kerry's Yoshi Woolly World amiibos, including this little heifer of an amiibo.
Well, yeah, I joined into the room for the podcast, and all I could see was it wasn't even his full head. I could see from kind of like halfway down his nose up to the rest of his head is just peering at me, and you're like it's like he's now made an appearance at the bottom, and Barry's like, "Do you like my Yoshi?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's quite creepy the way he's staring at me." I wonder why. Tried to do the staring contest with him.
Yeah, I've won a couple of times. But just to check that it actually was still working wasn't the only reason I pulled my Wii U down out of the loft. And I can tell you now, it's not to play some Mario Kart on. I wanted to have a quick look to see what was available on the eShop ahead of it going down. And unfortunately, it's going to be the day this podcast comes out, which will be your final day to actually purchase anything from the Nintendo eShop on both the Wii U and the 3DS.
Well, you don't really get a full day, depending when you listen to this.
So I've gone on and I had a quick look at the top 20 charts. There's a couple of games on there that seem all right. But one thing I forgot is how good the Wii U was for its virtual console support. Because the Nintendo Switch has been absolutely terrible with it outside of the Nintendo Online service.
Yeah.
Just looking through some of the games, you've got Game Boy Advance, Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap. You've got original NES, Duck Hunt, Metroid Prime trilogy. We've just got the Metroid Prime remaster, but this has got the whole trilogy on here for $17.99.
This is something that's really frustrated me because that's not only on the Wii U. On the 3DS, you could just even Game Boy games you could buy on the 3DS and that as well. So it's across both of those stores. You can buy older games on them when the Switch has only really just got some of them now. So why are all the stores so different? Why are the stores not a lot more integrated with each other?
Exactly. They're so fragmented. A game that we got recently on the Switch was Metroid Fusion.
Yeah.
And we're like, Metroid Fusion, it's come. Well, I forgot. I've already got that on my 3DS. I think I got it as part of the Ambassador program because I got fleeced for my 3DS when I first bought it. So they went, here's some Game Boy Advance games to keep you happy. But not that I'm sour.
No.
It's on here. So let me just have a quick look. We've even got Metroid Zero Mission actually on here, which is a remake of the first game on the Game Boy Advance. So these are titles that you can buy outright. Now, they are $6.29, so maybe a little bit hefty price.
Is there also some GameCube games that you can pick up as well?
I don't know if there's GameCube games on here. There's Wii U, there's DS games on here, though, because obviously you can use dual screen because you've got your game tablet as well. And yeah, I'm just looking through N64 games. You got Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, a game that most people love. $8.99, and that's it. You own it. You don't have to pay a yearly subscription for Nintendo Online, and then you stop paying it, and then you lose access, or they take down the service, and you don't have access to it anymore.
Oh wait, you forgot to mention. Sorry, no. With the N64 games, you don't have to pay for the online and the expansion pass for the N64 games.
Sorry, yeah, and the expansion pack as well. Can't forget about that.
So this is one that's really irritating me, because when we're talking about stores going down, straight away I remember, hang on, there's loads of Game Boy games, there's loads of advanced games on the 3DS you could pick up. Same with the Wii U, you can get some of the older consoles. So why has Nintendo absolutely screwed everyone over and just gone, we're going to put any on there at all? Why are the stores, like I said, not a lot more integrated with each other? Because there's not going to be that much difference between, if I'm honest, the Wii U and the Switch with the store-wise and how these are going to play.
Well, no, ultimately, I'm pretty certain these aren't ported to the Wii U. It's going to be an emulator running on a ROM.
Exactly.
So why can't they just have the Wii U emulator, which can run Game Boy Advance games, and it knows which games you've got and downloads the ROMs? But then you go to the Switch has its own emulator, but also knows what ROMs you've purchased, so it can just download them as well.
I can tell you exactly why they've done this way.
Well,
Money.
I don't think it's just money. Sometimes I think it's incompetence, if I'm being honest.
Laziness.
But there are some games that are exclusive to the Wii U we're going to lose. So one that I've just seen here is NES Remix and NES Remix 2. So I don't know if you ever played these where it like mixes and matches different NES games together. So you have like Mario in Metroid or Zelda in Duck Hunt or something weird like that. They're gone once this store goes. As of right now, as far as I'm aware, there's nowhere else you can play these titles.
It just irks me. Really, really irks me because they aren't putting games onto their store for us to buy like a lot of people want them to do. Why do we have to pay for the expansion pass? Why do we have to pay for online and the expansion pass to get any of these games? When we've been able to purchase it before, you own them already under the consoles. So why not have a link between the different stores? You log in this one, you can download it, play on the Switch.
In all fairness, they have said that that's their plan going forward from the Switch. So whatever the Switch successor is, your games that you have from the Nintendo Switch Online will carry across. So not your Switch games that you've bought, but the subscription will carry across. So those games that are in there now should be available on the next console. Whether or not that's the case, we'll find out in a couple of years, I guess.
Then again, so any games that you've bought, so I know you bought a fair few games through the Nintendo Switch store. So will those games not carry across at all then?
They haven't confirmed it, but they've heavily implied that they will not carry across. So, for example, a game that I've purchased, Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
I won't be able to play that on the Switch 2 or whatever the next console is, unless that console is backwards compatible with the Switch. But if it's a completely different system, if it's a new, I don't know, dual screen system or something, chances are it won't play the Switch games.
See, I just find that disgusting. Look what Xbox and Sony has done as well, where you can play PS4 games on the PS5, Xbox One games on the Xbox Series, and before that. So you've got them in the store, and if you bought them before, because I know I've got lots of 360 games that I bought back on 360 that I can download now still. So why can't Nintendo do it?
Nintendo is essentially an entertainment and, dare I say, a toy company. It's not an electronics company.
Yeah.
They don't have the experience that Microsoft and Sony have. Because if you think about it, Microsoft have obviously made the Windows operating system. It's probably what they're most well known for. They are probably a software company first. Sony are an electronics company first, or at least they were when the original PlayStation came out. When the first NES and whatever the console before that was, the Color TV game or something came out, Nintendo were a toy company.
No, I get that. I do get that. But surely, within the company, they must get other people from other, gaming companies into them who must have different ideas and be like, oh, hang on a second, why do we do it this way? They must get feedback. They must get ideas. Because, let's face it, companies do feed off each other, go, oh, they're doing that. That seems like a good idea. Why don't we adapt it? Yeah,
that's a fair point. But look at it this way. So you're Microsoft. You've entered the gaming space and your first console wasn't great. Your second console done really well.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to think, how can we get more people to come over to Xbox? And one of the things that everyone wants is backwards compatibility. You bring out backwards compatibility and everyone's saying how great it is. You're starting to get more users and that. You're still in distant third place at this point, but you're making a bit of ground. Now you're Sony and you're like, no one wants that. And then see Microsoft do it. Everyone wants backwards compatibility now. Your next console runs on the same architecture as your previous one. So you think, do you know what? We'll at least allow you to play the previous gen. So your PlayStation 5 plays your PlayStation 4 games.
Yeah.
It's not the biggest task in the world because similar architecture. Now you're Nintendo And you're thinking, doesn't matter what you do, they're going to buy it anyway. Why spend money developing this?
We've got the name to rely on, don't you worry.
Exactly. We slap Nintendo on it.
That's why I understand.
Mario on it. It sells.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And they are just living off the name. They are just living off the fact that they sell so well they sell so well in Japan and China. They didn't need anyone else to buy it anyway.
Well, not so much in China. They've been banned there till last couple of decades. And it's not just Japan. It's all around the world. There was a point, especially in the US, where inline skates, what do you call them? What do you call inline skates? Rollerblades. Rollerblades is a brand.
Yeah.
So they're not rollerblades. You just associate every single inline skate with rollerblades.
Yeah.
There was a point where, especially in the US, in like the late 80s, early 90s, oh, you're playing on a Nintendo. And you're like, no, Mum, it's a Sega Genesis. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's what I said, a Nintendo. Like, no, it's Sega. It's one of those things. It becomes ubiquitous with a console. It's a Nintendo. Doesn't matter who makes it, what it is. It's a Nintendo. But that's how big they got. And even to this day, if someone says video games, probably Sony might jump in the head before Nintendo, but Nintendo is definitely one of the first two names that come to mind.
Yeah.
Or if you say, name a gaming character, chances are it's going to be someone like Mario. And the way they've got there isn't through having great services, great online play, even great consoles, if we really think about it. Rarely are they ever the most powerful console of the generation. It's by having great games. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's kept Nintendo going. And it's a good thing to be the only thing, is great games. They consistently produce great games. There's very few Mario games that you might play where you think, do you know what, it's a bit naff, this. You might think, do you know what, it's almost exactly the same as the last 50 Mario games. But it's still a good game.
Yeah, well, not much changes. Well, same as Pokemon. Look at the name that Pokemon's made itself, and look how similar every single game is, and look how much hasn't changed between them all. And at one point they're pumping out so many, 3 1 year at one point, and how much of a name that's created. Because you think Pokemon, you think Nintendo, you think Pokemon again, one such of a iconic franchise. You can't not you can't not associate them two together. So I get what you're saying. They have created the experience for the players to a point where so many people do associate them very easily when you think about gaming.
Yes. And that is what Nintendo thrives off. But we have absolutely derailed ourselves from what we were originally talking about.
Apologies,
so,
yes.
Getting back on track, it's the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U. eShop is shutting down on Monday, the 27th of March. This is inevitable.
Yes.
Every gaming store's got to shut down eventually. But it feels far too soon for these.
Yeah, but Nintendo loves shutting stores down, though.
Well, in all fairness, they've only really had the DS and the Wii before this.
Yeah.
But I also got out my 3DS. And it's such a nice piece of kit. And it doesn't even feel it was that long ago that I was playing games. Both these consoles were getting games up until about 2 or 3 years ago. So for online stores to be shut down, and again, for there being countless games that we are going to lose access to, is a bit of a travesty, to be honest. And I know they can't keep the store open forever.
Well, the 3DS, because on 3DS, like I said before, you could have bought... I'm pretty sure you can buy the majority of, say, Game Boy games, but the Pokemon games are there as well. Because if you go and try and pick up an original red, blue, and yellow, that's setting you back quite a hefty price if you want to buy the the cartridge and the case, but just the cartridge themselves as well.
Yeah, even a poor quality cartridge will cost you 25 quid, and that's a digital copy, which has got compatibility with is it Pokemon Home?
Yes. So, links to Pokemon Home. So, any Pokemon going to move about to later versions, you can do, because you've got Pokemon Home on there. I think Pokemon Bank is on there as well, which is another one you can use to transfer Pokemon around. So, losing access to be able to buy digital games at such a cheaper price as well. Because we had the same conversation when we were talking about, was it some of the Sony stores that were closing down? Similar thing there as well, where the ability to purchase and buy older games, which will set you back a lot of money, it will really, really break the bank. You've lost it now. That's it. It'll be gone.
What I will say, though, is the store Sony shut down in the end was the PSP store.
Yeah.
That came out in 2004. These consoles came out in like 2012. I suppose it's depending on the cost to run them. But I think 10 years after a console is completely discontinued and no longer supported, not 10 years after its replacement comes out, should kind of be the grace period you get for the store. Because the thing is, this isn't even 10 years since the replacement came out. Because the Switch came out in 2017. I think it was 3rd of March 2017. I don't even remember, that was my birthday. And so it's not even 10 years since the successor came out. It was 6.
Well, yeah, exactly. 10 years after because it was 2012 when these came out.
2012, I think, was when the Wii U came out. I've got a feeling the 3DS might have been a little bit earlier.
But yeah, close the store down, 11 years after it came out. That's too soon. Like I said, there should be some sort of grace period between it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there is 2 good things that came out of this, though. One is there's plenty of deals on Wii U and 3DS games on the eShops. You can go on, you can buy them, and you should still be able to access them after the fact. So even once they close the stores, you won't be able to purchase anything, but you will be able to re-download them if, say, you deleted them to free up space on your memory card. So it's a good time to jump on and get some offers. I'm just scrolling through some of these. Some of them have got like 90% off. So the top selling game on the Wii U at the moment is Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. Should have been 36 quid. It's on there £5.39. Quite a hefty discount there.
Yeah.
Secondly, is these consoles are getting hacked and there's homebrew stores on them. That thankfully, although I'm against, see, this is one of these things. I'm against game piracy.
Yeah.
Piracy, I believe, is bad. However, game preservation, if Nintendo and these companies cannot offer you a legitimate way to get these games and the software and that, do you feel that's fair game to be able to essentially pirate the game?
Oh, I do. You know, losing an IP and losing the ability to play a game again. Well, what's that? Why? You know, someone has gone through. There's time, dedication put into these games. If they close these stores, they don't sell them physically anymore. They're through the roof, skyrockets. You can't pick one up, or the physical games go. You know, there being another way where it's preserved, where it'll always be there, we'll always have access to it, where it doesn't get lost. I fully believe that. Yes.
Can I just say one thing about you can't get the physical game because they're too expensive?
Yeah.
At this point, these games, all the physical games, are secondhand.
Yes, well, that's
so. Even if you bought one at a good price, Nintendo, the developer, the publisher, none of them are getting any money out of that anyway.
Yeah,
I would much rather have a more persistent store where I can go on, I can purchase a game, especially if it's decent discount on it, and give a little bit money back to the developer, to the publisher, even to Nintendo for using their store.
Oh, no, I do agree with that. I do wish there was kind of like a centralized place where they did store these IPs where you could access them if you ever needed to and stuff like that.
Yes.
There needs to be something put in place because it's such a shame to lose an IP that someone's put so much dedication to making and creating. This
is why I think archive.org should have an exemption to backing these titles up.
Yeah.
I reckon maybe they can back them up, but they aren't accessible for, 20 years from the date that they were published.
What, as in published in when it was released or published onto...
Yeah, originally
after?
released.
Yeah.
Or published onto an eShop or whatever it is. So if the release date was 1st of January 2020, then they can back it up there and then. But you and me wouldn't be able to access it till the 1st January.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Don't get me wrong. I have less than legitimate copies of games on some of my systems.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, just one or two. Systems. However, a lot of that's convenience.
Yeah.
I actually own more real Switch games than I have less than legitimate Switch games.
Time to play.
And time to play. However, in that case, that's more a convenience for me. I don't want to carry around loads of cartridges. So from my point of view, they are backups of media I actually own and that are constantly taking up space everywhere. The second set of games that I have less than legitimate copies of are games that are either they're all not in print, but are either prohibitively expensive. Now I'm talking not like 20 quid, I'm talking like hundreds, thousands of pounds. Or games that were on systems where it was distributed in a temporary way. So I have an Everdrive for the Super Nintendo, and it has a lot of the Satellaview games on it. Now, the way they worked is they were broadcast through the internet when the internet was like non-existent. And they were time limited. So they weren't ever sold on a physical cartridge. You couldn't play them outside of these time windows. Thankfully, some of them have been backed up, though. Not all of them. Some of them are lost. Okay. But many of them have been backed up. And I have copies of them because I will never be able to play that legitimately. There is zero way of legitimately playing that. Doesn't matter how much money I have. I could never do it in a legal way. At that point, in my head, I suppose I'm doing some mental gymnastics, but I have made peace with it.
Well, as I said, can you imagine you create this game, you put so much time and dedication to it, you put it out there, and then went out and it just disappeared for good, and no one can have access again, and no one else able to appreciate it. You know, if you as a publisher, would you be happy with the way that people are? You know, if people were to do it the way that you were doing it, you know, they weren't doing it for monetary gain; they were doing it for purely like I said, play it because they never would be able to any other way. And like I said, they wouldn't get anything for it. Would you find peace like? Do you reckon?
Right. If I was a publisher, there is one way I would be okay with it and one way I wouldn't be okay with it.
Okay.
And as a consumer, both ways I'm okay.
Yeah.
So the way I would be okay with it as a publisher is I've made a game. It's 10 years old. It's on the Nintendo Wii U, on the eShop, and they go close the eShop. At that point, I'm not going to get any money from it anyway. So if it's only on the Wii U, come Monday, no one will ever be able to buy it. I'll never get another penny from it.
Yeah.
At that point, if someone really loves the game and they really want to, and they pirate it, I'm happy. I've got all the money that I could have got.
Yep.
I'm not losing money, and someone else is enjoying the game.
Yeah.
If I was a publisher, I would be happy with that. The way I wouldn't be happy with it if I was a publisher is if I planned on re-releasing that on the Switch. I wouldn't want people pirating it on the Wii U because they could have been potential customers for the Switch. However, as a consumer, I'm happy that the publisher's okay with me pirating it once they can no longer sell it.
Yeah.
But when they're not happy because they're going to re-release it on something, as a consumer, I'm happy because I still get another chance to play that game.
I was about to say, because as much as, yes, they might be unhappy that you pirate it and use it, if someone is really enjoying their game, they really want to play it, good chance they will go out and purchase that game anyway on the other console.
Do you know what? The amount of, specifically Switch games, that let's stop dancing around the bush, that I have pirated.
Yeah.
That I have downloaded off the interwebs and put on a micro SD card and played. And then got out and bloody bought the game.
Yeah.
Straight away. Atelier Ryza. I downloaded that from some shady website. Played it. Thought, I enjoy this. Then bought it. Then bought the sequel. And I've just pre-ordered the frequel? I don't know what you'd call it. So I've ended up buying 3 games on the back of pirating it.
So, getting back to obviously the stores closing.
Yes.
Please go look. If you have one of these, if you have either a Wii U or a 3DS console, go in, have a look at the discounts. There are so many that are heavily discounted. And not gonna lie, because I did have, when I had 3DS, I do remember having one of the Pokemons on there. And I enjoyed playing it on there. So, it's a nostalgia hit on a more modern console.
Yes. I will probably pick up Pokemon Yellow and maybe Pokemon Red on my 3DS. I don't think I'll pick up anything else, but I'm going to have a look through the eShop, just double check there's no great deals. And if nothing else, it's a little bit of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Although, just really quickly before we end, because we are getting on a little bit here in the podcast, not in age.
I thought you meant.
If anyone's interested, there is a YouTuber called The Completionist who's purchased every single 3DS and Wii U game from the eShop.
Yes, it was flipping expensive as well.
Yeah, I think he spent like $9,000 odd on, I think it was the 3DS, and 11,000 or 12,000 on the Wii U. I might have got them mixed up, actually. I feel sorry for him. Not only the cost in money, but the cost in time, because I do not remember these eShops being anything remotely like fast.
No.
I remember the 3DS just sitting there watching the little crane go across, dropping the orbs in the box, and it slowly fill up. I'm like, oh my god, it's only like 50 megabytes. Why has it took 2 hours?
Well, because the things that at least because he's not downloading more per se. He's maybe just purchased them, just that's it. So at least he's not waiting for them all to download.
I think he downloaded them all.
Oh, flipping out!
If I remember right, it was like quarter of a terabyte's worth of 3DS games, and I think it was like 1 point something terabytes for the Wii U.
That's dedication.
That's lunacy, that. But
yeah,
we'll leave it in the show notes. Go and watch it. If nothing else, it's a nice video to watch as a swan song to the 3DS and the Wii U era eShops. Long live the Switch, I guess.
Yes, it is. And on that sad note, that is it for this week's episode. If you'd like to find out more about anything mentioned, you can view the full show notes at retrogamingdads.co.uk. We have been the Retro Gaming Dads, and we'll see you next time.